So today we are doing Georgia's cryptids. So my guest here, our supernatural life.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey brother, how we doing?
Pretty good, man. Pretty good. Like I said, my first live, still trying to figure it all out, man. Am I good? You
No,
can hear me well?
yes sir.
Hey, I appreciate it. Thank you for having me on, man. Thank you. I appreciate it.
No problem. So I mean, your channel, what you post up, is a lot of different cryptids in a lot of different places all over the world, and it's like cryptid fun facts. So I absolutely love the way it's set up and how it's done. So
Hey, I appreciate it, man.
oh,
Hey, we gotta do more than just live videos next time. I'm trying to get more into the haunted places sphere and everything too. So hey, gotta come see you, man. We gotta do something together.
there you go. Sounds good, man. I ghost hunt. And that's what I do, and I got a few friends that you'd probably be interested in coming to see as well. So I invited him into the or onto this one as well. His name is Nick McGurr, and he actually does haunted paranormal tours in Charleston.
Okay, that's awesome. That's actually not too far from me. So I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina. So it's like 11 p.m. for me right now.
Gotcha, gotcha. All right. Well, see, he's not far from you.
No, not at all, man. Not at all. We all got to plan something for sure.
Yeah, no, I definitely there's a lot of stuff going on. So he's actually doing an entire thank you dreamers. He's actually doing an entire paranormal almanac. So it's going to be the first ghost hunting almanac, where we're actually going to be putting a lot of scientific evidence and theories into it to really kind of get that going.
That's awesome, man. I love stuff like that. I was actually doing a lot of research to prepare for this live because obviously we don't want to embarrass ourselves and all that, especially with me being my first live. But man, people think when they think about like cryptids, because you brought me on here for cryptids. That's what I'm mainly about, right? When people think about
Uh,
cryptids, they only think about like say werewolves, vampires, stuff like that. But after doing a little bit of research, gorilla. We all know gorillas are real, right? They were considered a cryptid in the 1800s and weren't even considered a species until the 1900s. So a cryptid isn't just
correct.
some like wayward out there thing. It's literally the definition is something that's not discovered by science yet. So it's not always just like a super
Exactly.
out there thing.
So I actually have this book. It's Cryptozoology A to Z. The gentleman that coined the term cryptozoology also actually said that at about after the 1920s, said that there's no way we'd find any other large animals. And then we continued to find large animals. So just looking at the timeline that they have in the book, just sharing some fun facts. There was the woodland bison in 1960, which is a very large animal that was a cryptid up until then. Komodo dragons were and a pygmy hippopotamus were discovered in 1912. Pygmy elephants were discovered in 1906. So there's so many. I mean, the coelacanth, the one of the oldest fish that we know of, and they even based a Pokemon on it, was discovered in 1952.
It's
So we
yeah,
have, yeah, there's just so many.
and it's crazy to think about. Like sometimes cryptids aren't way out there. Like I said earlier, they're gorilla. Like we all know gorillas are real, right? You can go to a zoo right
Yeah.
now and go see one. Like so,
Oh yeah, and completely. I mean, even in today's date, today's time in 2020s, they're still trying to prove that the jaguar has moved back in to the U.S. and is working its way around in the U.S. But because they've only been able to document male jaguar, it's not considered official, so it's still technically a cryptid because they can't document a female to then give the concept of a population. So the rules around what makes something an actual zoological animal and keeps it into that cryptozoology category, it's really a lot broader than people think.
exactly. It's not just werewolves, vampires, stuff you see in horror movies. It's really not. Like even
Yeah.
Bigfoot. Bigfoot is probably the most popular cryptid in the world, right? It's
Correct.
not that hard to believe that Bigfoot is another species of, let's say, a gorilla that we haven't discovered yet. Because, like I said earlier, gorillas weren't considered a species until the 1900s. So it's really not that far out there to think it could be a subspecies of a gorilla. Or maybe, like, I don't believe in evolution, but maybe a human that didn't evolve as much. It could be. Like, we don't know. And when you get really, really deep into the research, man, there have been people that have gotten, I haven't done TikTok live, so I don't know what words I can and cannot say, but I'll just do what I do for my videos. They have gotten unalived and disappeared
Yeah, there you go.
for actually, for actually like discovering stuff. Like I was actually doing research, not necessarily cryptid based, but it could go back to it. Is there was a guy that had the cure for cancer, but he went missing. So it's like, it's not so far out there that like people are trying to hide the fact that these things are real. Because I mean, yeah, if a couple people saw it and they're not like valuable witnesses, then sure. I mean, it's something we can kind of push to the side. Like when I was studying for this video, I found something called a beaver shark. It's like a beaver with the body of a shark and a shark with the body of a beaver. That's kind of like...
It's 3 feet long, and
Yep.
it's seen by the people in the Pine Mountains. I have the same.
Absolutely.
I found the same story.
There's things like that, and then there's things like werewolves, which is actually what got me into this whole like cryptid sphere. Is my own werewolf encounter in the past.
Oh, okay.
So there's like things that like people see every single day, just about, and then there's things like we just said, like the beaver shark that only a couple people have seen. So it's
Correct.
the cryptid, and even if you don't believe in this stuff, man, the cryptid sphere itself is just super interesting to learn. Because like we all love horror movies. Like, I mean, you watch them, you enjoy them. So what's the difference between like a horror movie and actually learning about what you're watching? Like, I love it. And there's so many different cryptids, man. That's why I love the like industry I chose, or like the niche I chose. You always have a video, man. There's so many cryptids in this world, and so many of them are actually like liable cases, like the Bigfoot.
Correct.
So,
Yeah, there's actually a species called Gigantopithecus, and it supposedly went extinct, but it was supposed to be around the time of dinosaurs, prehistoric, Mesozoic, and it basically fits to a T what we see as Bigfoot. Just a giant bipedal ape.
forgive me if I'm looking to the side right here. I'm trying to talk and share your live at the same time, man. I'm trying to help you out.
I appreciate it.
No, man,
So
of course.
as I do more and more of these, it gets better and better. So, you know, I do Tuesdays, I do paranormal, and I kind of stick to ghost spirits, and Saturdays I go straight to cryptids. And so I kind of split it that way from the very beginning. And I just started on this journey of going through all 50 states. Uh-oh. I do believe we may have lost him. There he is.
All right, I'm back. All right.
It's all right. I don't know. It could be the connection. Like, I'm running off the Wi-Fi at the hotel right now.
Oh yeah, where are you at, by the way? You told me that you weren't like at your usual area.
Yeah, so I'm out of town for work. I still work a normal 9 to 5, and part of what I do for my job is visit different stores in my company. And the ones I'm at today are 3.5 hours from my house. So I'm able to stay at a hotel for the night, so I don't have to do, 6-hour round trip in between doing visits at the stores for a few hours.
I got you. Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's so you
but
have like a normal job other than like just the social media stuff, which is smart. I'm all for that, man. Because a lot of people, man, when they think, like when I first started, I'll be honest, when I first started, I thought this was gonna be the easiest thing ever, like quick money. Nah, it took 3 years for me to actually have the ability to get monetized through TikTok Shop. And yeah, I haven't made any sales yet, which I really don't care about. I do this because I'm interested in the subject, and as long as I'm interested in the subject, I'm gonna keep making videos. I don't care about what it does for me monetarily. I really don't. Like,
Yeah.
but
And I get you,
that's
man. That's the dream. You know, the dream
absolutely.
is, and I've always said, destination truth. That's my dream job. Like that's what I want.
Yeah.
Destination truth. So I don't know if you know the series, but Josh Gates, he also does the Expedition X. So
Mhm.
that's dream job right there. Go look for ghosts. Go look for monsters. Go look for cryptids. It's just what I would like to be able to get to at some point. But unfortunately, I've been working since I was a teenager, so this is what I've been doing forever.
I
Um,
got you.
but you would get along very well with Nick, who I was talking about earlier. He started podcasting. He was working a 9 to 5. He is now the owner of his own company. He does paranormal tours for a living, and does quite well for himself.
I'm gonna write that down right now. But yeah, it's it's awesome. Once you're able to do something like that you're actually passionate about, that's like a big thing I had to do. Like I don't know if you saw, I know you went through some of my videos, make sure I was able to actually come on the live and everything. There was a time where man, it just started feeling like a job. I just lost a passion because I was too worried about the monetary aspects of it.
Yeah.
But man, once you lose that and you just do it to like I truly feel like I'm helping people. So, because let's say worst case scenario, someone sees, say, Bigfoot. They've always heard about him. Obviously, everyone knows about Bigfoot, but they never believed, so they never actually know what to do in that kind of situation when they see it. That's where I feel like
Hmm.
I come in. I can actually help people. Like, hey, this is how you get away. This is how, if you can't get away, you do this. You do this, and I give them like every single fact I can about Bigfoot. You obviously have to do it in a quicker manner because like it's
Hmm.
TikTok. I mean, people like that short form content. Man,
Right.
it's I just love it. I love what I do, man. I really, really do. I know I've said that multiple times, but I do. But I also
I
do have like
completely
a
get that.
yeah. I also do have like a I guess like a normal job too. Like I own a marketing firm, and then I'm about to start working for AT&T again as well. So yeah, it's
Okay.
pretty much busy schedule as you know. 'Cause
Yeah, yeah. Now this plus what I do normally is a lot, and I'm just starting to get like, I just started a buy me a coffee. I just got the Patreon up and running. I'm gonna do the website, and I had all these things at one point. I ran a paranormal group for years. I worked with BuzzFeed. I did all sorts of stuff, and like you said, it got to be a job. Um, because I was doing all the work and the rest of my
yeah.
team was just kind of coasting. So I'm a one man band now, and I honestly enjoy it a lot more this way. And I just kind of going through the steps of rebuilding.
Yeah, for sure, man, for sure. Like I said, we gotta more than just cryptids, man, because I'm sure you saw through some of my videos. I talk about like haunted places and everything too. So if you ever
Hmm.
need someone for a live, you know you got me, man, for sure. I don't care what time it is. Obviously, I'm here at 11 p.m. my time, so I don't care what time it is, man. We can talk because this is a passion for me. I love talking about this
Hmm.
stuff, and you can't really talk about it with like normal people. It's got to be really creators.
Correct.
You try to bring it up to
Correct.
like someone you just meet on the sidewalk or something, they're gonna be like, okay, you're fucking crazy. like, so, like,
No, I in my company announcement when I just got because I just got promoted to this position. Um, it stated in there that I enjoy some of my hobbies, ghost hunting. Um, and I got emails from people in the corporate world of this company that I've never met in person that don't work in the same state as I do. That were just like, I need to know more. So I sent them my link tree with all my links to my videos and all my social media, and it's really interesting. And I always get those people. I walk in, they talk about it, and um, they really get people asking questions. And I get those people that they make fun of it. They start a little bit of banter back and forth, and they're like, "Oh, is there anything here?" And I'm like, "Look, like." I'm a ghost hunter. I use equipment. I don't walk in and go like this and I see your grandparents. Like, it's not that way. Like, I don't do that. That's not my thing. I don't scream about demons. I'm not going to tell you that everything's haunted. I'm legit in the fact that I use my equipment and I do it the right way.
Yeah.
And, after breaking down some of the skeptics, they usually almost always have their own story, and then they break into their own story once they realize that you're actually serious about what you're talking about.
Yeah, it raises your credibility a lot, man. Because obviously, paranormal stuff. I don't know too much about it, but I can come at it from like the cryptid sphere. You gotta still keep your credibility. Like when it comes to things like the squonk, I don't know if you've heard of. There's the beaver shark. There's stuff like that doesn't really have like any credibility at all. And people see, and those are always like the highest viewed videos. And so people automatically think like, oh, this guy does not know what he's talking about. Yeah, I'll still talk about it because it's an interesting subject. But every cryptid, and I'm sure every like haunted place you go to, you don't always believe it's haunted. Like every cryptid I talk about, I don't always believe it's a thing. That's not what I do. I just take an interesting subject and put it out there for the rest. People can make their own opinions. Like, yeah, I might say the squonk probably isn't a thing, or the beaver shark probably isn't a thing. But do I know that for a fact? No. Has multiple people seen it? Yeah. And I really take away their credibility just because I personally don't believe in it? No. But that's what a lot of people try to do in like our niche, because we're just about the same niche. They try to take away our credibility just because they don't have the belief, which you can't do.
True. And I mean, that brings us kind of like directly into the subject for today.
Absolutely. Let's get into
that.
That
that's Georgia cryptids. And you brought up like the top tier one of the ones I found that I was like, what the hell is this? The beaver shark.
That's what I'm here for, man.
I also found the coon cat, which has been cited by nothing but teenagers. Like nothing but teenagers.
Let's check their credibility real quick.
And I'm like, I can't like take that considerably and like, oh, that's gotta be it. Every single sighting I pulled up for the coon cat is a teenager, and it's got like I feel like that's like at the bottom of the totem, and then beaver shark gets a little bit above that.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, I just like we were saying earlier, we can't take away their credibility, but man, a coon cat, I was reading up on it to prepare for this. I just feel like it's a raccoon, if I'm being honest. Like, some people heard some noises in a trash can, and like it was late at night. They got scared, but that's not why I'm not here to discredit anyone's like sightings. Because like if I tell you my werewolf story, you might be like, well, that sounds like bullshit, and that's fine. You're entitled to that opinion, right? So I can't take away someone's credibility on what they saw because I was not there. But when it comes to things like the coon cat, I saw there was like I was doing some research. It says something like Fannin County ferries, but their biggest thing was on like the ferry crosses that people find around in Georgia. There was things like Hogzilla.
Thank you.
I'm sure you've heard about. Hey, let's go. Let's give them more. Let's give them more.
Hogzilla. Thank you, Military Inspirations. So Hogzilla, fun fact on Hogzilla, there's a TV show, and it's all these Appalachian mountain men, and I thought this was the funniest damn thing, because it's basically just all these like Appalachian guys in suspenders running around hunting things that we can, like all these cryptids, right? Because Appalachia is the area for cryptids. It's like the mecca, the hot spot. They went after Hogzilla, and they caught a giant hybrid hog.
Yep.
So, to the point we made earlier, there is so many things that are out there that we just aren't aware actually exist. I mean, it was one of their first episodes, and they caught a hog that was just absolutely massive. they took it and, you know, like they're like, oh yeah, like this thing looks crossed, you know, like they're like, this doesn't have like all the features of just one species. It looks crossed between two, and it was massive. They built this giant cage.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean,
It's crazy. It's crazy to come think about that too, because like when it comes to like skeptics and everything, yeah, I don't care if you're a skeptic. That's fine by me. Like I keep saying, everyone's entitled to their own opinion. But when it comes to things like Bigfoot, seen everywhere, thousands upon thousands of witnesses. Is it really that like out of the way to think it could be a thing? And maybe it could be like we don't know other animals' minds. We really have not studied them that much. So what if two species bred and made a cryptid? Like we don't know if they can or can't. We haven't studied the actual animal species brains. So, which in return would make it a cryptid because, like I said earlier, the definition of a cryptid is something that cannot be defined by science yet. Yet the biggest thing.
Exactly. Exactly.
And then there was things like the Georgia raptor, which is pretty much like a dinosaur, which we all know dinosaurs were alive.
Right.
Like we don't know. We truly don't know if all of them went extinct. Like we still have alligators to this day. They're considered dinosaurs. Why didn't all of them go extinct? Sharks, exactly. So I mean, hey, military inspiration's going crazy. Let's go.
Thank you, sir. We appreciate you. That's awesome. I've never seen the bee. I don't know what the hell the bee is, but that's cool.
I'm pretty sure that's my little brother Jaden. Type Jaden in the comment if you're Jaden. Hey, I told you, man. I'm sharing this live with everyone, man. I'm trying to help you. We're doing this together.
Hey, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, man.
So, and I did try to post it prior to this to let everybody. Yeah, it's him.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I mean, yeah. So let's talk about cryptids in Georgia, man. What do you know? What do you want to know about? Like, what have you researched?
So you did bring up the Georgia raptor.
Yes.
Now, the Georgia raptor, they said raptor. However, if you know anything about dinosaurs, the raptors were actually about the size of a turkey. Mm-hmm. What people are seeing is actually the size of something called a troodon, which basically looks like a larger version of what a raptor should have been and closer to what we actually saw in Jurassic Park. Not completely to the scale of what they made the raptors in the movie, but slightly smaller. So, because like I said, a raptor is the size of about a turkey. So you could have punted a raptor, but that wouldn't have looked very impressive in Jurassic Park. So,
oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, that's what makes it could make it a cryptid in definition, because it's a hybrid species at that point. You know,
exactly.
What a lot of cryptids could be. It is a hybrid species that we have not researched. So yeah, true. Well, I'm looking right here. But it was sighted in Georgia originally. First sighting was 2008 by an 18-year-old teenager, but also their grandfather. Typically, I don't like.
They were hunting.
Yeah, they were hunting. Typically, I don't like taking witnesses from teenagers, just because. Not that I don't find them credible, but I know other people won't find them credible. You know.
Correct.
But. But yeah, they were hunting in the woods, and it literally says right here, we see a creature that looks like a living dinosaur. Not one person saw it, two people, 18-year-old and their grandfather. So that just brings up the credibility a whole lot more. And it was on the 25th of July, 3:30 o'clock. They knew exactly what time and day. And people always, that's another big thing about it too. Like there was no actual photos or anything put about it, so I'm going to bring that up real quick. Is a lot of people say, oh, this video is blurry, this photo is this photo is this. Say you're getting chased by a werewolf. Are you going to really want to pull out your phone and take a photo? No, you're not.
Exactly.
You aren't taking a video of that, you're running to safety.
Yeah, and I don't know if you've seen, you probably know one of the most famous clips of Bigfoot caught. Was Bigfoot just strolling along, hanging out, walking by, and this guy.
Photo. Yeah.
So they took that and put it. So there was a TV show. It's called Monster Quest. They took it. They put that footage on through a program. Went through and made it a lot more detailed, and we're actually able to trace out what the face looked like and trace out the fact that his mouth moves and that like there's movement and muscles on his face, which means A, it is not a suit, and B, that this is an actual living animal. Then they took an athlete, an Olympic athlete, and put him frame by frame in the stances that the creature actually walked in the video, and literally sat there and were framing him out. So they would drag up the image, match him up exactly, drag it back down, and the athlete could not hold the poses or do the motions that this creature did when it kind of strolled through the camera footage.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what I love about the new shows coming out these days, like Expedition Bigfoot and all that. Give them a slight little shout out. But yes, a lot of shows they want to, like, I guess, kind of upscale if they're finding Bigfoot and everything, so they make every sound is Bigfoot, every this is Bigfoot.
Right.
But what I like about like Expedition Bigfoot is they actually go to witnesses' homes, and they have this. He's a pretty large dude. I think he was like 6'6", 6'7", which me being 5'11" is a pretty large guy, like 200, 300 pounds. And they have him stand in the exact same positions as the witness saw like Bigfoot in. And 9 out of 10 times, he's not as tall, he's not as wide. So it's like, I even saw this one video recently. It's I think it's like trending on TikTok, but it was Bigfoot like ripping bark, like large pieces of bark off of a tree. A human cannot rip them that big, And then at the end of the video, he stands up, and it is extremely massive. So it's not a gorilla, because yes, gorillas are big, but when they stand up, they're really not that tall.
Right.
They're really not. Yes, they're wide, but they're not really tall. So it can't be a gorilla in my eyes. But yeah, there's just...
Thank you, Susie.
And then it's always the... people say, well, the video's not clear enough. The video's not this enough. Like, how much proof do you need to actually, like...
Exactly. So this kind of brings us into some of our other cryptids here. One that's seen not just in Georgia area, the Thunderbird.
Yeah.
Now, there's actually a lot of claims of the Thunderbird in Georgia's area. There's actually a lot of claims of just pterodactyl-like creatures out in the area. So, do you have anything on the Thunderbird?
Yeah, for sure. So, actually, I'm sure you've already done an Arizona episode, but there are different versions of the Thunderbird itself. Like, the Arizona Thunderbird is more of like a pterodactyl-like creature that, I think it was 6 cowboys actually shot down, and they actually have a photo online of it. And then there's the typical sighted Thunderbird in other states, like pretty much any other state. I'm not even going to list them off. Where it's a extremely large bird that reportedly has lightning flashing out of its eyes. And you know how big a killer whale is. Apparently they're so strong they can pick up a killer whale and take it back to their nests. And then a lot of the tribes believe that, like, when they hear thunder, it's actually the Thunderbird's wings flapping because they're so large they make that sound. And it's definitely a cryptid that could be real. Like, yeah, it could be a pterodactyl, which goes back to our Georgia raptor thing. It could be a hybrid of a dinosaur. We don't know.
Right.
But it's also not that far out there to think there is a large species of a bird. Like, yeah, maybe the lightning flashing out of its eyes and all that is a little bit out there. But that's what makes this topic so interesting. Like, it's and it's legends being passed down, like, for years, especially for the Thunderbird. It's been decades upon decades upon decades of the same exact, like, every time I research or make a video about a Thunderbird, the exact same description every single time, no matter what state, no matter what tribe, no matter what country even. So it's like not all of these people knew each other to be able to make the exact same story. No. So Thunderbird is definitely another one that could actually be, like, true, like, valuable, a ton of valuable witnesses. Like, I would actually put the Thunderbird, like, right under, well, no, I put Loch Ness Monster under Bigfoot probably, and then the Thunderbird, just because it's something that we don't know enough about, because obviously it flies. How are we going to research a Thunderbird? But there's so many witnesses, and just about every single story is the exact same. So I definitely
and I mean,
Yeah.
And that brings us right back into the whole theory of dinosaurs. The Quetzalcoatlus, one of the largest flying dinosaurs that they had, and which would be the closest thing to fit the descriptions of what they were seeing, because these things were absolutely massive. They made the pterodactyls look small.
Absolutely, absolutely. And then there's things like, oh man. So we went over Hogzilla. We went over the beaver shark, sadly. We went over Bigfoot. We went over, let's see, what
Georgia
we kind of went
Raptor.
over the Fanning County fairies. There's not really too much known about them. I definitely tried to research. We went over the coon cat, Georgia Raptor, another dinosaur-like cryptid, except larger than a normal like Velociraptor or anything. Let's go to werewolves, because I enjoy werewolves. That's why I got into this. Have you ever heard of the werewolf of Talbotton?
So I did see that come up when I was looking into it. The image I saw had it looking very like feminine in a way. So what's the story behind that?
Yes, so it actually is believed to be a woman. Obviously not alive anymore because she was buried. But it started back when a woman had got sent, I believe it was England. I could look at my notes right now, but that makes it less genuine. So I believe she got sent to England to like a boarding school because she was just doing bad stuff. And then she had gotten back from England, and a lot of livestock actually went missing. And she got really, really sick. And so they ended up sending her to a lycanthropy study school back in England, and found out that she was positive for lycanthropy, which is an actual disease, that as we all know. Not necessarily werewolf type disease, but like facial hair, body hair, everything.
Correct.
And as soon as she got sent back to the lycanthropy study in England, all the livestock killings had stopped, like immediately. So that is definitely an interesting story. I'm sure I could have said it better if I was looking at my notes, but actually, I'll bring it up. This is my first live. We're trying to make a good little. All right, Legend of
No
the
worries.
Georgia Werewolf. So
Go for it.
yes, of all of her children, Emily Isabella was the one with the most problems. She inherited a lot of physical traits from her father, including dark hair and bushy eyebrows, which could tie to lycanthropy. Legend has it that the husband of one of Emily's sisters reported to the Burts that something was killing his sheep. Fearful that this may soon be happening to her animals, Miss Mildred Burt, which is her mother, became quite concerned. He would recount stories about more sheep killings and that some of his cattle were killed as well. He was concerned about the killings and decided to take action. He put together a posse, and their intentions were to shoot and kill whatever beast was doing the damage. And then Emily was unusually interested in what was going on and the events that transgressed. So on that exact night that he went out to with the posse, he had a few guns, was a great marksman, went out with the pistol, and apparently suspected that Emily Isabella was somehow involved with the killings, and she wanted to be prepared for anything. As she was near the area, an animal lunged for her, and she fired. It ran away. Interestingly enough, the next morning it was reported that Emily Isabella was missing her left hand. And then that's when they sent her to the lycanthropy study school, and the livestock killing stopped. So,
Interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. That's the first time I've actually read that legend about her actually missing her entire hand. I did know about like the bullet wounds and everything, which is pretty much, it's pretty typical when people think they see a werewolf, they shot something and someone comes in with a hurt body part. But I thought it was just a gun wound. I didn't know she was missing her entire hand, which kind of brings down the credibility for me just a little bit. But that could have just been a bad website. Because like I said, every other website I read, it's saying it's just a gunshot wound. But if someone's missing an entire hand, as we all know about werewolves, they heal pretty quickly. They're not going to be missing their entire hand after that. It's not going to happen. But yeah, so there's the werewolf of Talbotton, Emily Burt. And she's actually still in the graveyard in that same county. So people can actually, if
Interesting.
any of you were in Georgia, you can actually go see her grave as well. So yeah.
Oh,
Mhm.
that's a good one. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
there were so many things that came up when I looked this up. I mean, there was the moon-eyed people,
Yeah.
um, the
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 statues.
wog.
The
The
wog,
wog is some, yeah, it's some kind of
demonic
the
dog.
hellhound. Yeah.
Yeah,
So I
the
mean
wog's
that's an
actually interesting.
interesting.
I'm actually doing a video on it right now, so it's actually still pretty fresh in my mind. But
Oh
it's
wow.
supposed to be like a demonic black dog with characteristics of other animals. It's got like a bare head, stature of a horse, but like a smaller horse.
Huh.
But the scariest thing about it, well, it also has a forked tongue, which is pretty scary because I hate snakes. But one of the scariest things about it is actually its tail, which sounds pretty weird until you realize it's the sole purpose of its tail is to sweep people to hell. Because a lot of people believe that it's actually protecting a mud volcano called the Nodarok site, which I'm sure any of you can look
Mhm.
up, which is supposedly a gateway to hell because in Greek, Nodarok actually means hell. So, yeah, it's an
Right,
interesting
right.
creature for sure. But
Now I did.
it wasn't too promising when I first started, just because obviously I've done a lot of video on hellhounds, and some of them aren't very credible. But the log, I mean, I
Mhm.
looked it up. Netherrock site is an actual place. Netherrock in Greek does mean hell, so it
Mhm.
just brings up that value a whole lot more. And either way, even if I don't believe in the credibility, they're still interesting to read. So, yeah.
True. True. Yeah, and I did remember seeing all that when I looked it up, and I know somebody had made a comment about there not being an R sound in the
Mhm.
language that Netherrock is derived from.
Yep, absolutely. And even just I will tell y'all this because this is what I do in my videos too. Like in case you do encounter it, like for the Florida skunk ape, you'll smell it before it ever even notices where you are. But if you hear like a
Mm.
hissing sound, is what one of the biggest things it's known for. Obviously, that
Oh
fork
wow.
tongue is making that hissing sound, and you're gonna hear it. Sadly, you're only gonna hear it from like 25 feet away, which doesn't help you very much, but at least it still helps you.
Hmm. True. Interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
I know some of the bigger cryptids for Georgia. Is there's a possible Nessie cousin called the Atamahaha.
Yes, also known as Alti. Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually resides obviously in the Altamaha River, which is where it got
Mm.
its name, obviously. And most of the sightings of it were actually in Darien and McIntosh County, and like little lakes and streams near there. And it's actually been a huge thing, not just in recent times, but actually going all the way back to Muskogee tribe lore. So it's been
Huh.
like a huge staple in Georgia's cryptid history for years. Like they even have in Darien County, where most of the sightings have come from, they actually have a huge scripture of it or sculpture of it in their welcome center. So it's definitely a
Hmm.
big thing they focus on. But it's pretty much like your everyday sea serpent, and it's just about looks the exact same as Nessie from what I've seen, other than its tail. Its tail is a little bit different, whereas Nessie looks more like a dinosaur. This one has like a
Correct.
flickered tail, like a dolphin, more blue. Face is actually really weird with like circular and like a bunch of sharp teeth. You can't find too
Mm.
many descriptions on it, but at least from like the hundreds of websites I've read about it, that's how they describe it.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it said something about 30 to 70 feet, alligator like
Yeah.
head.
Mhm.
And you bring up a good point because, yes, Nessie is described as what they call a plesiosaur.
Mhm.
And there's actually quite a few. So there's Nessie, there's Champ, there's the Ogopogo, Igopogo.
Yeah.
There's so many different ones all over the world, and they're all described in the same way, which puts them all as plesiosaurs. So I
Yeah.
actually did an entire cryptid episode on oceanic cryptids,
Okay.
and how many of them are dinosaurs, and that led into an episode on neo-dinosaur theory.
Okay. Is that on YouTube or is it on TikTok as well?
Those are on TikTok, so I have yet to put those on YouTube. I'm working on getting all that going still, so I'm so backtracked on so much
Oh, man, I
stuff.
get you. I get you,
So,
man.
but
I
I
have a
can't
video to
stop.
upload in 2 days and I haven't even edited it yet. Like, I get it, man. I'm with you. I promise.
Yeah, but I mean that definitely is something I'll send it to you once I get it up and running.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. Because we gotta do more. We gotta have like an actual collab, not just like a TikTok live collab, for sure. Because like I
No,
said,
for
I'm trying to
real.
get more into like the haunted sphere. I want to be like the channel where you can go to for like anything scary, really. Like cryptids, haunted
Got it.
places. I even have like a series about urban legends, like Bloody Bucket Bridge. I've been doing recently, which is terrifying as hell. But
Okay.
yeah.
Well, if you're ever in the area, I've done I also did videos on like Bloody Mary, Blue Baby, all the mirror games, all the paranormal games.
I just had a
Um
video about that. Yeah.
yeah, so and my brother and I did the Bloody Mary. We did like 12 different versions of Bloody Mary.
Mm.
We did Blue Baby. We did the versions of that. We did the picture game. We did something called the card playing card game. We did something. Um, I think it's called Sarah Sarita or Sister Sister.
Or Sanita, yeah.
So we did a whole bunch of them, and my next wave of videos, I wanted to do like the hosting game, and some of the scarier ones as far as like what it is you're doing.
For sure.
So
Yeah. Sarita is actually one of my most viewed videos. Like,
really,
it's crazy how many. Oh yeah, it's crazy how many people are into that kind of stuff. Like, yeah, I mean, they're probably only watching it because they're bored and they want something to do that's scary.
mm,
But I mean, at least from my research on it, it's one of the hardest games to get out of because it really is just flipping a coin behind you, praying it lands on what you want it to land on. Like,
yeah, and we literally were sitting there. I think it was like 15 to 20 minutes of it just flipping the fucking coins, waiting for
mhm.
the right answers because we're like, this is taking forever, and we got nothing. I got nothing on Sarah Sarita. I got nothing on the picture game. I got nothing on the playing card game. I did actually have some equipment go off during Blue Baby and during Bloody Mary.
Okay. Yeah, Blue Baby is
So,
a. I'd say Blue Baby is more scary than Bloody Mary itself because yeah, Bloody Mary has a lot of I guess like a huge track record compared to Blue
mhm.
Baby. But Blue Baby, like if you don't do the right thing at the exact right time, she's coming after you. The mother of the actual baby is coming after you, and then you have to remember to flush the baby down the toilet, which is weird. Like it's.
So it's actually a derivation of Bloody Mary when you
Mhm.
go into the lore, and then Bloody Mary even is a derivation of itself because the lore was you were supposed to walk backwards up a staircase and look into a mirror, and
Mhm.
you either saw a skull signifying your demise or supposedly the person you were going to marry. So this was very common again, or for younger girls to be playing with their friends. So they would all be walking backwards up staircases.
Absolutely, yep. Mhm. All right, man. Let's get on to some more Georgia cryptids. That's what these people are
Yes,
here
sir.
for. I'm sure you've heard of the Wampus Cat before. I'm sure just about
Correct.
everyone here. Yep. Let's do uh let's do something weird. Let's do the what do I have on my note? Let's do the boo hag. Not too much a cryptid, more of a
Uh-huh.
I guess like urban legend, but still a very interesting story. You know much about the boo? I'm sure you do. Like, it was mainly known for South Carolina, but Georgia does have
Hmm.
its own version. But
That's Nick right here. Stories in the cemetery.
oh yeah, hey, there we go. Hey,
And Nick, I found somebody else in your area. He's one state
hey, for
over.
real, yeah, for real, man. Hey, send me a DM for sure, for sure. But yeah, as I was saying, the main lore of the Boo Hag is mainly from South Carolina, but just about like any other state has its own like variations of anything. Like
Hmm.
Bigfoot has variations of different
Correct.
variations in each state. Like the Bigfoot in Washington is so much different than the Bigfoot in Florida, the skunk ape.
Hmm.
But yeah, so
Oh,
let's
yeah.
see. Let's see what I have on my notes. Okay. Oh
Yeah,
goodness,
because there
just
was
reading this.
also, like I said, the moon-eyed people. There was another one that made no sense. The plat-eyed. I don't even know what the hell that's
Oh,
supposed
flat
to mean.
eyes. Yeah, it's from the photos I saw. I didn't do too much research on it. I put it on my notes just because it is a cryptid in Georgia, but it just kind
Correct.
of looks like a. kind of like a zombie, I guess, at least from the pictures I saw. But
Yeah.
after reading the descriptions, it's nothing like zombies. So I don't know if that's just something that like the whole zombie apocalypse
Yeah.
happened and like or the
Right,
fake
right. I'm
zombie
assuming.
apocalypse.
Yeah, I'm assuming these three, the Plat-Eyed, Moon-Eyed, and the Boohag, are all
Yeah.
different versions of similar things, or even maybe tribes people that are being identified as some kind of cryptid.
Absolutely, and that's what one thing people need to realize about people about us too. Like now that we have more people on here, we don't believe. I mean, it's bad to say, but it's true because we need our credibility before anything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we don't believe in every single thing that we talk about. Like I was saying earlier, every single place you go to, you don't believe it's haunted. You have the proof using your equipment, whether it be a music box, cat balls. I don't know if you use your
Nick loves the cat balls.
like we don't believe in every single thing we talk about. It's just an interesting topic that we want to share with the rest of the world because we also, even though we don't believe, we can't take away anyone else's credibility.
Correct.
We can't tell them like, no, we're not going to be like everyone else. The people who say this stuff to us, we're not going to be like them and be like, no, you can't believe in this stuff because I didn't see it. That's not what we're doing here. That's not what we're about. But yeah, the Plat-Eye, I feel like the Plat-Eye kind of came around when like the whole zombie apocalypse, scary stuff everyone was talking about, like when the CDC actually let out or I believe it was the CDC, actually let out a zombie apocalypse survival guide, and that whole craze started. You remember that whole craze started happening?
I do remember that.
So let's go. Which was the one we were talking about? Oh, I was going to bring up
Boohag.
the Boohag. Yes, yeah. I just feel like it's pretty much the exact same as South Carolina. Really, it's more described as kind of like a ghoul, which the same as could be said for Old Green Eyes, which is also another like
Correct.
Georgia cryptid. So pretty much like a ghoul, really. Who honestly, I don't want to compare them to La Llorona, but they're kind of similar. You know, well, there's not really too much to say about that because I know everyone knows about La Llorona. Just think about La Llorona, except in Georgia, and that's pretty much what
You get for the Boohag.
And then we got that's a good one if I can find it. Georgia Pigman, if I can find it. That was one.
Yeah, I did see something about the Pigman.
That's one I've done quite a few videos on because it's not only in Georgia, Pigman, but it's also like one of the craziest legends out there because it's so likely to be true. Like there's actually two versions of it. I wish I could remember my videos. This is making me look so unprofessional. But I'd rather read off of something and know I'm giving the right info, you know?
Right.
But
so
apparently the Pigman came about when there was actually a circus and a guy who had trained pigs, and apparently he was extremely abusive to them. I guess like the circus closed or anything, he brought them under a bridge, but he was so abusive that the pigs actually ended up eating him. And as like a curse, he became the Pigman. Which, yeah, a lot of cryptids are actually made by curses. Like all the cryptids we know to this day that are like the, I guess not really top tier, but they're the most known. Like werewolf, 9 out of 10 times is a vampire. 9 out of 10 times is a curse. So it's not really that far out there. Like especially you in the paranormal, because I'm more in the supernatural sphere. So you're more in the paranormal sphere. So in the paranormal sphere, I mean, a lot of ghosts are actually cursed to walk the earth forever. That's where you get maybe not a lot of the instances, but a good amount of them. Like a lot of them, yes, they haven't finished their story. They haven't, maybe they just like being in this world, or maybe there's no life after death as we know. We don't know. We're not dead. We're not going to know until we die. So we don't. But I mean, yeah, it's pretty far-fetched, but with how many people that I'm looking that have actually cited the Pigman, it's been cited since 1867. So, yeah, it's not too crazy. And there's another legend about it, but it's not too believable. Apparently, a man had relations with a pig,
And it created the pig
I mean,
man.
actually, that might be more believable than them eating him and then becoming a pig man. But I mean, yeah, but and then we talked about old greenhouse, kind of pretty much like a ghoul boo hag. Wampus cat. I mean,
Right.
that's the typical Wampus cat is pretty much like everywhere, described as like a panther on steroids, I guess.
Correct. And there's a few that kind of bridge gaps between states. I did find something on a swamp thing that I guess goes between Georgia and Florida.
Oh yeah, there's actually two kind of cryptids that live in swamps in Georgia. There's a lizardman, a skateboard swamp, and then there's actually like the Georgia swamp thing. So they were found. Oh, this website has very vulgar stuff. It's still calling people crackers. But yeah, it's apparently from the. I'm probably going to butcher this. So if anyone is in this tribe on this live, I apologize in advance. The Okefenokee folk traditions actually talk about.
I did see the name. I didn't know how to say it either.
Yeah, they actually have like a swamp thing, but it's not like a typical swamp thing. Like thinking about like Bigfoot with seaweed. It's more of like a not really like a sea serpent looking thing, but it has like those same characteristics. I guess you could say. But I'm not finding too much on it really, because I type in like swamp thing in Georgia, and it's really just 9 out of 10 times is bringing up the lizard man of skateboard swamp, which is not the same thing at all.
So what I found is that there was a sighting in 1829 by 9 hunters. So they went into the forest or into the swamp after this thing, and only 5 of them returned. And then they found large footprints from where they had been the next day. And this is the only sighting, the only evidence, the only thing I found on that subject.
Oh yeah, for sure. Which makes it. I'm not gonna say it takes down its credibility, because I mean, yeah, a few people saw it. Could it have been completely something different? They were scared and made it this huge thing. Maybe they didn't want to seem like weak, because back then, I mean, men's image was you had to be like strong and everything.
Correct.
So maybe they just didn't want their image tainted. Does it take down its credibility a little bit, only having like a few people see it all in that exact same group? Yeah, a little bit. It's like when it comes to things like the Bigfoot, there's people who have never met each other before in their life, never will. They have all seen it. But like we keep, or at least I do, I keep reiterating, it doesn't mean it wasn't true. It doesn't take away their credibility. But then, I mean, since we're on swamp creatures, lizard man and skateboard swamp, there's so much about it. So it's like your typical lizard man, like you see on TikTok a lot, where people think politicians are lizard people and everything. Like it's got like the same eyes, same everything. But it was actually cited all the way back in 1988. Exactly, Stories in the Cemetery. All stories come with some truth. Exactly. It was cited back in 1988 by a sheriff's office. Actually, it wasn't even like normal people. It was the sheriff's office that cited it. And so they saw a car was damaged overnight while it was parked at home in Browntown. So, and this one is in South Carolina, but it's on like the South Carolina-Georgia border, which is why I added it. Right. Because Skateboard Swamp, it's literally on the border. But yeah, this cryptid has been cited like so many times and for so many years that people have made T-shirts about it. Like it's been on the news. I mean, I think it was WCOS actually offered $1 million award for someone finding this creature. Like they were so into it, which you don't really find too often. I can't remember the cryptid I was researching not too long ago for a video, but it was just about the same thing. There were so many sightings and so many unalivings that people actually offered $1 million award for someone to find it. So that's when you know.
There's been a few.
Oh yeah, that's how you know when it's not just a one. I don't want to. It's not just a one-time thing, but I don't know how another way to phrase it is. People are so scared for their lives, and stuff is happening so often that they're offering someone $1 million. And back in the day, $1 million was a lot more than it is now. Like $1 million
Correct.
now is probably more than $10 million today. So they're offering that much money just to find what's doing it. So
Yeah. So, well, see, it's funny because Stories in the Cemetery, Nick was actually asked to go after Lizard Man, I believe, by a podcast. So he was on a podcast, Hillbilly Horror Stories, and they asked him to go looking for the Lizard Man because he's in that generalized area. Now, he's more North Carolina than South, so... But they'd asked him to go after that at one point, which was hilarious.
yeah. We talked about it our earlier stories. I'm in North Carolina too. I'm in Charlotte. So hey, send me a message. We'll plan something. And then we'll have to get Tales from a Ghost Hunter on with us, buy the flight and everything. We got you.
There you go. Yeah. No. Nick, like I said, Nick does tours. You can actually find him from his name, Stories in a Cemetery.
Okay. Yeah. And then the only other cryptid I could find that, I mean, people have found in Georgia, I can't really find too much about it. All I found was one legend, and it's called the Aksuhi, which is like a dangerous monster snake, pretty much. So it's
okay.
It's almost like the Groot slang, like huge snake, but without the elephant head. Really.
Gotcha.
Which could 100%. This could maybe be, other than the Bigfoot and like the Altamahaha, just because we have not explored enough of our waters yet to be able to rule out really any sea monster. This could really be like one that's actually out there, because snakes are alive. They are considered a species. We know that for a fact. I mean, I saw one a couple weeks ago. It scared the shit out of me because I hate snakes. And it was a black snake too, and everyone's saying, "Oh, they're fine. They'll eat all the rats." It's still gonna hurt if it bites you. It don't matter if it eats rats. But I mean, all it essentially is a huge snake. You know, so it's definitely like something that could really be out there, especially when it comes to, I can't remember, I saw a photo. It wasn't about the Aksuhi. It was about this huge snake that people actually found like years upon years upon years ago. I can't remember what it was called though. Shoot. Now I gotta find it. I'm like that. If I can't remember what something's called.
No, I know they found quite a few large snakes in like Africa. And they're still finding snakes in different breeds and species to this day in some of those more largely dense areas, the Amazon, Africa. There's constantly like new species of things being discovered.
Oh yeah, absolutely, and that's what makes the cryptid sphere so fun. Is like a green anaconda can get up to 125 pounds. You just imagine how long that is. Like, so is it harder to say there's no way this is a thing? Or is it easier to say this could be a green anaconda? I don't know. So, but that's pretty much all it really is, man. It's a huge snake. It wasn't the Titan boa. I think that's the photo I was thinking about, but that's not the name that I was thinking. But yeah, I mean, it could be 150 feet long. Like, cryptids are it's an interesting topic because people, you either love it or you hate it, really. And I feel like people typically hate it when they don't know enough about it, because the gorilla was considered a cryptid until the 1800s, wasn't considered a species until 1900s. Imagine the people today, like say Bigfoot, we'll use Bigfoot. Say we're in the history books just like that. Bigfoot was considered a cryptid until 2025. And it wasn't considered a species until 2027. Now imagine all those people who said there's no way it's an actual thing. Imagine how they're going to feel. Like, I'm sure that's how they felt back then. Like, oh crap, the gorilla was a species. People weren't just seeing shit. Like, so that's what makes it so interesting.
True, and I mean, there's so many other animals that have been found over the years. I mean, the platypus was a cryptid at one point because nobody believed when the guy came back and was like, "Yeah, it had a duck bill. Its venomous. It, looked like a beaver, but I mean, it lays eggs.
Yep.
Complete mishmash of animals. Like they just left some parts over and was like, "Yep, that'll do."
Yep, exactly. And then there's things like the beaver shark that make us question our our life choices.
The beaver shark.
Sometimes the body of a beaver, head of a shark. Sometimes the head of a beaver, body of a shark. No one can ever.
Yeah, I saw that too. Wow. Where can people find you besides on TikTok? Do you have YouTube, Facebook? What other places can we get a hold of you?
Yeah, man, I'm on every social media site. Our Supernatural Life. I mean, even on Lemon 8, the new little social media thing that TikTok's doing now. It's Our Supernatural Life on everywhere. I mean, my personal is Dylan Yeager _TV. I don't expect people to actually go follow it because most people like my cryptid content, not my personal life. So, but, I mean, yeah, man, that's where people can follow me, and I'll for sure put something on my story about you as well, man. You've been a pleasure speaking to. I appreciate you inviting me onto this. It was my first live, so yeah, I'm a little bit rusty, but I'll be prepared for the next one for sure.
No worries, man. And we're definitely do more in the future. Are you on YouTube? Do you have a YouTube channel that we want people to start subscribing to, or?
Yeah, man, YouTube is Our Supernatural Life as well. I mean, it'll probably take a little bit to find me just because there's a channel called The Supernatural Life, which apparently exorcises demons. So, yeah. So
well, that's fun.
It'll take some scrolling to find me, but you'll find me. It's just Our Supernatural Life on just about any social media site you can think about.
Awesome. Well, I will make sure to get this live edited and posted up so that we can get that out on YouTube. I'll make sure to tag you in it. So I'll try and get that done this week. I will definitely be in contact. I loved doing this back and forth and having somebody to kind of go back and forth with cryptids on. Thankfully, my friend Nick was the one that told me I needed to start looking to find people. Because watching me looking... Yeah, and watching this while I'm reading it's just not entertaining.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I appreciate you choosing me, man. There's a ton of other cryptid channels out there, man, so I appreciate it. I really do.
Oh, no problem. Well, thank you, and all of our viewers for joining and hanging out. So we got almost 4,000 likes during the course of the video, so I'm super psyched to see what we do in the future. So we're only 2 states in to my 50 state journey here. So I'll let you know what people have suggested for the next state that I'm looking at, and we'll see if we can line some things up.
Hey, for sure, man. Thank you again. I appreciate it. You have a good night. All right.
You too. Good night, everyone.